happy readers! It's Shed Time Stories with me, Issy. Are you ready to share a new story? The book I have chosen is called Brave Blondie. If you have this book at home, you can read along with me. The author, the person who has written this story, is Diane Miswicki. And the illustrator, the person who has drawn all the pictures, is Roxana Barwinska. Now, Brave Blondie is a tooth fairy, but she's having problems with her missions. Shall we find out what happens? Brave Blondie. Another pot fell from the shelf. Blondie rushed out of the kitchen, but at the door she spun and ran back inside. She stuffed one more tool into her tooth fairy backpack and raced out again. She was going to be late to work. She arrived just before the last train left the station. I can do this, she thought. The train clattered over Firefly Falls as Blondie reviewed the night's assignment. She had 6 children to visit that night. Her partner Mooshie was waiting for her at the train stop. Come on, Blondie, I don't want you to end up on the last of the achievement list again. Then they were off to Kyoto, Japan. Blondie tripped over a dog's tail and decided to wait in the yard while Mooshie got that tooth. Soon Firefly Falls were disappearing into the distance as they raced towards Chicago, Illinois. The first stop was Isaiah's house. Blondie guarded the door while Mooshie slipped in and out. On to Astrid's house in Stockholm, Sweden, and Timothy's house in Limerick, Ireland. Sophie in London, England, almost woke up when Blondie knocked over a glass of water, but Mooshie caught it before it hit the ground. Finally, it was the last tooth of the night. Francesca's in Venice, Italy. Mooshie grabbed the tooth and Blondie proudly set it in her backpack. Francesca rolled over with a groan and the tooth fairies darted away. We did it, cheered Blondie, but she had forgotten to zip her backpack. It was so full of tools that a huge gust of wind easily caught Francesca's little tooth and blew it right out of Blondie's backpack. It landed in a gondola on the canal. Whoosh! Oh no! Gasped Blondie. Blondie, you know I love you, but this is getting out of hand. You'll never get enough teeth this way. It was almost dawn. They had to get back to Firefly Falls. Blondie glanced over her shoulder in regret. They got back just as the tooth technicians were getting to work. Blondie loved watching them scrub and dry the teeth before they handed them off to the colour artists. Once the teeth were sparkling, the architects and builders worked together to add new buildings to the town. Blondie and Mooshie turned in their collected teeth. Here, you'd better recycle this one, said Patrick. Blondie put the chipped tooth back into her backpack. She took the trolley to the recycling centre and handed the tooth to Razzo. He cleaned it, then inspected it carefully. I see, there's a cavity, said Razzo. This tooth will make a perfect vase. Even if something is a little broken, we don't throw it away. We just have to be a bit more creative with it. Blondie went to bed that morning, thinking hard about what Razzo had said. The next night, Blondie and Mooshie met up. "Only 3 teeth today," noted Mooshie. "I got 1 more than you yesterday, so why don't you get these 2 and I'll head to Spain?" Blondie's first stop was in Switzerland to fetch Levi's tooth, but she dropped it on the mountain. She searched for hours in the snow before she found it. Then she grabbed a tooth in Rome. Growl! Blondie's stomach roared, so she took a quick detour into the Colonel Corn popcorn factory for a midnight snack. No one would notice a few missing pieces of popcorn. Oh no! Blondie looked down just as both teeth disappeared into a huge container of fresh, buttery popcorn. She didn't want to make a mess by scattering all the popcorn, so she began to eat. She ate and ate and ate and ate. She zipped the teeth securely in her backpack. With a full tummy, Blondie headed back to meet Mooshie. Just then she noticed a familiar gondola. She waited on the bridge, then jumped down when the gondolier wasn't looking. There it was! Francesca's tooth sparkled from a crevice in the front of the boat. Blondie scooted towards the tooth, but the gondolier turned and Blondie hid again. Wait! Sticky string to the rescue! Blondie cast the string toward the tooth and reeled it in. "Did you get it?" asked Mooshie. Blondie held up the 3 teeth proudly. "Awesome!" Just then, there was a beep from their phones. Poppy, the top collector in all of Firefly Falls, had been flying home when she crashed into a crow. Her teeth had fallen everywhere, tons of them. All nearby fairies were being called in to help collect the teeth before sunrise. Blondie grinned. This was her chance. Before Mooshie had even landed, Blondie was off. She stuffed her pockets until they almost burst. She stuffed her socks and hat too. But there were still more teeth. Blondie grabbed some big leaves and stuffed them full. She borrowed a laundry sack, rain boots and a wheelbarrow and filled them to the top. There were still 3 more, but no one could reach them. One tooth had fallen into a hornet's nest. Another was teetering at the top of a waterfall. The last one had dropped down a chimney. Blondie grabbed her fishing net and, balancing carefully, she scooped the tooth out of the cascading water. Next, Blondie tricked the hornets into coming out of the hive by pouring sticky maple syrup all down the tree. The hornets swarmed the syrup long enough for her to grab the tooth with her crochet hook. 1 more to go. Using her rock climbing rope, Blondie plunged down the chimney. With all the soot, Blondie couldn't see a thing. She whipped out her spotlight. There! Blondie got out her super duper long tweezers and snatched up the tooth. She emerged triumphant. She placed the tooth in her boss's hands. "Thanks, Blondie," said Patrick. "Yeah, whatever," said Poppy. She flitted away, but Blondie didn't mind. "Blondie, I know I've been a bit tough on you, but you're actually the most creative, brave and determined tooth fairy I know. I'm glad to be your partner," declared Mooshie. "Oh, thanks, Mooshie. You know what? It's okay to make mistakes. It's how we learn. Besides, you're good at certain things and I'm good at certain things. We make a great team," smiled Blondie. Blondie hugged Mooshie. 3 teeth fell out of Blondie's pockets. Mooshie scooped them up with a big grin. What a gorgeous story that was, and don't the tooth fairies work very hard, and all through the night too. I'm so glad everybody realised just how creative Brave Blondie was. As they said, not all tooth fairies are the same. Just like you and me, we're all good at doing different things, and that is what makes us all so amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this Shed Time story, and if you want to, you can like, share, follow and subscribe to Shed Time Stories. Then you'll be ready for the next book we can share together. Bye-bye!